Good morning and welcome to the Ignite Leadership Series. I am very excited to be here today and bringing you a fabulous female in leadership who's going to come on and talk to us shortly. But first, I would love to just give people a little bit of time to get on and just share with you, I suppose, why I do this. Why do I run this show? And I try to run it weekly because, number one, I love doing it. And number two, it's a way of bringing mentors, I think, to people in the technology market or in any market, really. So bringing the experiences of leaders, the real world experiences of leaders to the public, I suppose, because there's so many leadership books, there's so many leadership lessons and training courses we go on. And this is really just sort of moving away from the theory and allowing you to get access to leaders who have real world experience. So I've been recruiting for 20 years in the technology space, and I have been looking for a mechanism to introduce the sort of mentoring to mentors concept. And when I found LinkedIn Live, I realized that was my opportunity. So really excited to be doing this on a regular basis now. And I was getting a bit of pressure before Christmas to create more content and to allow people more access to leaders if I could. So I have put together a membership, which you can go and have a look at for free. Hopefully there'll be a link popping up to that in the comments at some point during our session today. So keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, I'll make sure it's in there at the end, or I connect the link later on. So do come in and have a look around. You get access to a lot more content than what we're putting out on LinkedIn here. The mentors that I have in that community are a lot of the mentors who've been live with me here, and they're very giving of their time in terms of doing some more drill down sessions with me, and we get really granular on some of the topics that come up. So do come in and have a look. We would love to have you in the community. So today, what I would love you to do is firstly to please let us know that you are there. While I'm talking, I'm just going to make sure I've got got this running here on my other machine so that I can see comments and so forth. So excuse me while I just do that. I can see we have some people on, so please say hi. We've got Victor. Hi, Victor. How are you? Thanks for joining us. I would love you to say where you're watching from if you're on, and also down the track if you want to ask any questions or make any comments. I would love you to join in the conversation as well, or we would love you to join in the conversation as well. One more thing I need to do over here, and then I will introduce you to the amazing Wendy Hamson. Just one second. I love live. You just go with it. Wonderful. Now I can see everybody coming up. So thank you so much for joining us. And as I said, I'm going to introduce you to Wendy Hamson, and I'll tell you a little bit more about Wendy once she's joined us. Here we go. Wendy.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you, Rebecca?
Very well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course.
Really appreciate it. Now, I'm just going to give you a very quick rundown on Wendy. So Wendy is actually a Canadian and grew up in Canada prior to coming here in 1998. And it was really then that her career in technology and sales and then into leadership kicked in. So, she's now mother of three, is in an APAC role, running a very large team now with Udemy, and growing rapidly. So in a really exciting organization in the training development area in SaaS as well. So and Wendy has come through various sales and leadership roles in the IT software space, and has a track record of building and leading high performing teams, and I'm sure has had her sort of challenges and lessons along the way, and she's kind enough to come here today and share some of that with us. So welcome again, Wendy.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. And just a little bit of an intro. I always make people sit there and smile through their intro. So yeah,
I feel very old. 98 was a long time ago. The Saints were actually in the grand final, so that seems like forever ago.
Okay. And who do you go for? Do you go for the Saints now? Did you have to just jump on there?
Yeah. Well, we jumped on the bandwagon, and little did we know that, like the Maple Leafs, we'd be in misery for years not winning a flag. But, there's always next year. No, this year's still going. So.
Well, yeah. Every year with fingers crossed. I'm just going to say hi to Philip as well. Hi, Philip. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, Wendy, I would love to start off by asking you, how did you find yourself in leadership in the first place? So you came into sales. What did you always know you would be a leader?
No, I kind of, I love to be a presence in a room, and I'm very much about supporting and encouraging people. That's, the best part of my job. And I was lucky enough to be aligned with an individual who backed me and was a bit of my mentor, and gave me a chance when I didn't have some initial experience. And from there on, I knew that this is where I love to be. Individual contributors, it's a great role, but I love to coach, and I love to be a part of someone else's success and allowing them to thrive and be the best that they can be.
Amazing. And so when you made, obviously someone sort of picked up that you had the leadership qualities and you made that transition into a leadership role, what were the kind of key rude awakenings that you had? So the things that sort of stood out as, oh my goodness, wasn't ready for that.
I think for me, the biggest struggle was, you deal with all sorts of different people, and you need to be whatever it is they need you to be. And you can really help individuals, but for me, the big struggle is that whole skill will matrix. And what do you do with someone that doesn't have the will to be able to grow and evolve? And so I really struggled with individuals who didn't want the coaching or were on their path and set in their path, and they become a bit of a cancer in a team in terms of negativity. And so for me, that was a real challenge. How do I deal with this? And at what point do we, agree to move on? And I learned a lesson in terms of, you can't change people's will. You can try, but in the end, it's up to them. And if that's a path they want to go down, then, I need to focus on the individuals that have that growth mindset and, want to keep growing. I've been in this game for so long. I'm still growing. I'm still learning. I still make mistakes. It's about owning, your weaknesses, and doing something about it. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you back then, when you sort of realized this was one of the elements of leadership, is really making sure, I suppose it comes down to making sure you bring the right people into the team and you set the right ethos, and that and there's a whole lot of other things. Did you have mentors back then who really helped you overcome any sort of gaps that you had around sort of how you handle that?
I didn't really, I only jumped into the whole mentor space, fairly recently. And I wish I would have had a mentor early on in my career to help me. I kind of found my way through, reading books and mimicking those that I, looked up to. And then obviously you and I had some really good work together. And so for me now, it's all about, well, what can I do to help, anyone that's looking to advance their career and grow as an individual, and be a part of that process for them. Because if I could do it all over again, I would have latched on to somebody much earlier. And I didn't have the confidence to ask. And then finally I did, and I learned a lot from a particular woman. It doesn't have to, it's not sex related. I just really learned a lot from a particular individual who, I put up there with, the Brene Browns of the world. And I learned
Wow.
so much more, and I would love to be able to do that for those that would like it.
Mm. That's awesome. And what you're saying there is really important. I think a lot of the time that there's a difference. A lot of people will step into their career and expect that mentor will come to them. And I love the fact that you talk about reading books, because I think, you know, and latching onto people like Brene Brown, who's more recent times, but, you know, picking a good mentor that you can connect to and you can follow, rather than necessarily waiting for it to come to you and it to be served to you. And I think you can get different snippets of mentoring from different people in your life as well. You know, I think, you know, my parents were mentors to me in many ways in terms of work ethic and, you know, a whole lot of things, and a whole lot of what not to do's, but we won't go there. Yeah, I think that's the same for all of us. You know, you got to pick the best out of the people that surround you. So. And it's interesting as well that you say that you sort of latched onto a particular person who happened to be a female. And, you know, I think especially, and this is what makes us feel old, you know, back in the day, it was harder, and it was not as easy to speak about, and to just sort of raise a flag over, you know, in terms of women in the workforce, and especially in leadership. So was that something that stood out to you as you came through your career?
You know, I learned early on that you know, the industry that I was in, I started out in, you know, mainframes, and you know, that's a very male-centric area, particularly in that time, and certainly moving through my career, I've not had a lot of female companionship in the office, let alone leadership. And, you know, it is what it is. And you know, I find those that inspire me and you know, make do. And I remember early in my career, and I was presenting as an individual contributor, and I had a skirt on. And I just remember, you know, the front row, and just, I felt really uneasy. And I thought to myself, I'm never wearing a skirt again. But if you look for it, you'll find it. So really what it's about is just being authentic, being you, and not making it about females and males. And I just now, you know, I just don't look for the imbalance. I just look at the individual and the attitudes and the characters, and make that my priority. But certainly at Udemy, you know, it's a very balanced organization in terms of gender, and it's been actually really refreshing to have so many more different points of view. And yeah, it's, you know, not having had that experience before, it's really interesting, the differences, just lots more, just diversity from just, you know, ideas and backgrounds, and not necessarily just gender. So it's been really interesting.
I just want to acknowledge, hi, David. He's in the chat and has asked a question, and I'm going to come to that question very soon. I've just got a couple of other questions myself first. So I'm interested to know, because I know that, you know, just talking about, you know, women in the workforce for a minute, and I love the fact that you see that you look for, you know, strengths and attitudes and so forth, and try not to make it about one or the other. Although I agree with you, balance is great on many levels, not just in terms of not just in terms of women, but in terms of diversity generally. The something that comes up a lot for women in the workplace is the concept of having a family, you know, and questioning themselves on that, you know, as to when do I do it? How do I do it? When I come back, you know, am I going to be penalized for it? You had 3 kids, and, you know, you managed to keep a lot of balls in the air. I know you took 5 years out, which I think is, you know, something that some people are not brave enough to do, because they're fearful of what will happen when they return. So I'm just interested to hear a bit around your story on that, and sort of how that was for you. It's a very open question, but can you talk us through?
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, for me, you know, I've always been very driven and motivated to be successful. But when I had my first child, I'm like, all right, that's it then. I'll just be a mom for the rest because this is good. I'm, not stressed. But I realized that I needed something for myself. And, my identity was really affected. But I guess for me, moving back into the workforce, I wish I would have been kinder to myself. And I wish I, as a 20-year-old before children, not judged women so much when they do have the kids, because it is hard. And I will never tell anyone that, yes, you can do anything. Everything is possible. It is possible, but it's really hard and it's really painful. And there's some mornings I would drive into work white knuckled, screaming just to get the angst out of me before I got to the office. So, what you want to be and your goals and aspirations before children, they're still possible. You're still capable, but what you want might change after kids, and that's okay. So you just need to not put a lot of stress on yourself in terms of, the pre-kids person versus the, mother. I just looked at it like, this is a part of me. I want to be a working woman. I want to have children. Some stuff is just going to have to fall by the wayside. I'm not going to have the perfectly put together home. I'm not going to have kids that eat 16 serves of vegetables a day. I will have to, leave them hanging at after school care until I can get rush home. So it's, but I enjoy what I do. And you have to, as an individual, be easy, just be gentle with yourself and know that what you want might change after kids and to adjust, but you can do both.
Yeah. I think my opinion is, your kids get to see the whole person as well. They get to see what life can be like and ultimately be allowed to make their own choices moving forward. You mentioned judging other women before you had kids. It is really challenging from that perspective, and it's easy to sort of look at people and have expectations of, that I think people think that parenting is easy until they get to it. I think that's what you're saying, right? And so then you get there and you're like, actually, my God, they were juggling all of that stuff.
Well, I think it's not even that people think I think it's, you just don't know what you don't know. Like you cannot possibly prepare for parenthood, and you cannot possibly understand what parents go through from a workforce perspective, from a work-life balance perspective. It's, especially if you are a bit silly like me and have three. One would be good.
Yeah. So, well, I'm here now. So keep going. And yeah, right. So, and then coming back into the workforce, how was that? Because with 5 years out, I think I hear a lot of people talk about people talk about baby brain, but also, you sort of disconnect a little bit. How was your sort of confidence stepping back in, for example?
Yeah, that was really hard. You have to rebuild muscles you haven't used. And I was very self-conscious of my ability, my effectiveness. I kind of eased my way in through just some consulting work, and a friend, took me on to assist him with his software development business. And that really just got, the wheels moving again until I could say, okay, now I've got this. And then I went straight back into the full-time role of sales. Initially you try to deny that you have children. Like, you don't talk about it, particularly in a male-dominated environment. But I think today, organizations are changing in that, parenting, family, it's a normal conversation. Acknowledge it, like connect with your people and hear the stories and talk about your family. Like, we spend so much time with our work family. You have to get to know them on every level. And as soon as you normalize it, you support it, and people will get the job done. I work harder now as a mother than I ever did. And my work is not, and none of my team who are having children, we do what we need to do when we need to do it. And that's all we can do.
I think technology's created a lot for us in that sense, that we can kind of work wherever we need to, whenever we need to, so we can work around the drop-offs, the pickups, the sick days, whatever it is that needs to happen.
Yeah.
So I think we're lucky on that front. And also just acknowledging what you're saying around companies are now opening it up so that males and females can be the parents, and a lot of men are much more comfortable talking about being the stay-at-home dad, or talking about having to do the drop-offs and the pickups, or exactly the same. It's becoming more normal. I wouldn't say, I nearly said exactly the same. It's probably not quite exactly the same yet, let's face it. But yeah.
COVID has definitely helped with that work-life balance in terms, before COVID, I was the one rushing home and getting dinners and sorting out laundry. And now my husband and I share it pretty much 50-50. So as horrid as the last year and a bit have been, it really has, blurred the lines, and I feel like I'm more supported now, and it's much easier. And I still have to I'm sitting here at home working from home. That's not fun, but but the kids can see, they need to realize that I am off limits whilst I'm in front of Zoom calls 50,000 hours a day.
Yes, yeah, it's exhausting sometimes. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being so upfront with us and sharing some really personal things. And I think, for me, getting that across to people generally in the marketplace is a really positive thing. And, it's a good lesson to learn. I'll jump into the chat and ask you David's question now. So he's asked, how do you create motivation for yourself and for your team?
I think motivation, you need to find people's why. Why are they here? Why are they doing what they do? And speak to that, whether it's intrinsic or from any external. So connect with the people and learn who they are and why they're here. And I think that's ultimately it's up to them to be motivated. But if you truly understand your people, then you can feed that motivation. And for myself, I often, will sit back and look at we talk about below the line and above the line. Okay, I'm in a certain situation. Why is that? Is that because of something that I'm doing or not doing? Or is that due to something externally that's impacting that I have no control over? And all I can do is control the controllables, which is what I say to the team all the time: control your controllables. So if you want a certain outcome, what are you going to do to get that outcome? Not what's stopping you. What are the things that you can't control? And I'm big into fitness and the gym and eating healthy. And I only have myself to blame if I've sat down and had that bowl of ice cream, or I didn't get up to go to the gym. That's the consequence of my behavior. So if I want something, I need to set a plan and execute on it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, that's one of my favorite models is looking at the above and below the line. It's such a powerful tool. And what you're talking to there is the growth mindset. And I wonder if Victor's still on, but Victor, he's put in his comment here, hashtag optimism always. And that's what Victor and the team at I'm trying to remember the name of the group now, but they're all about optimism. So they actually run Project Optimism, and they're pushing that out globally. And a growth mindset is very much the language that they use. It's so easy to look at what you can't do, or what hasn't happened, or what someone else has done that's apparently affecting you. And choosing to look at it with the glass half full and look at what the options are is certainly much more empowering and powerful. I'm interested to know, you're building your team really fast. What are some of the things that you're finding challenging with the sort of the level of growth that you're going through?
It has been a real whirlwind. I've been recruiting pretty much for over a year and a half, because I was doing a lot with my previous role as well. And for me, the the biggest challenge I have is I've got all these new people and everyone's being onboarded remotely, and I'm all about connection and building that culture, that team camaraderie. It's not just me that's responsible for everybody's onboarding and learning and growing. As a team, we need to do that. So my biggest challenge has just been, when I get somebody on board, really, getting to that point where they're really comfortable and can, call out what they don't know, or pick up the phone, or, get on Skype or Zoom with a colleague and feel like they're a part of the furniture. So you can do all your vetting and hire good people based on attitude and character. That's the biggest skill you can teach. But it's then getting the group together and the 1 + 1 = 3. So we've been doing a lot of just team lunch and learns, where we sit and talk about a particular topic and everybody's perspective on it, because we're all fresh into this role. Nobody's been with the business on my team for more than a year. So learning off of each other and providing that real psychological safety in terms of nobody has a bad answer. And if you don't know, or you made a mistake, let's talk about it, workshop it, how do we do better? And really creating an environment where, we belong and we have a voice.
That's amazing. And it's challenging to do when you're all, going through COVID and having to do that remotely in a very big way. So, hats off to you. That's amazing that you've managed to build such a cohesive team.
I love my team. I love my team. We tried out a shared workspace yesterday in the city, and it was like we were all born again, going into the city and spending a whole day together. It was amazing. Like you just, those things that you take for granted. And I know we all have our stories, but yeah, I just appreciate being stuck in traffic on the way home and decompressing before I get to the family.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it, because a lot of people look at that as dead time, and just actually decompression time is fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's a good segue into a question that Philip's just asked. He said, you mentioned fitness as part of your success, and that's a decompression as well, right? So he's asking, how much do you attribute your business success to your passion for fitness?
Oh, wow. I haven't even really thought about that. I actually don't. I've never thought about them as, related. I think because I think fitness is a choice, and not everybody wants to be fit. It's just what I choose, and I guess maybe wanting to always do the best I can. That's my attitude towards business as well. But successful business people don't necessarily have to be fit, so I wouldn't draw that parallel. I do often think about, as a mother, the hardest thing you can do is bring a child into the world. It's extremely uncomfortable and painful. And if I can do that, I can do anything. So, and anytime I get into a sticky situation, I know that I can do it because I've brought 3 children into this world, and 2 of them without drugs. And it's a weird analogy, and probably not what you're looking for, but that's the one thing I remember. And trying to get back into shape, I just remember that last kilometer of a 10K run going, if I can bring a child into this world, I can run this last kilometer.
Yeah. It's very motivating in so many ways, bringing children into the world and then having to take care of them. Thank you for the question, Philip, and thank you for the answer. I think, I'm just going to put my 2 cents worth in on that, because I was never a fit person for a very, very long time. And I don't know if I'd describe myself as a fit person now, but I go to the gym 6 days a week, most weeks, and I push myself pretty hard. And I just find that having that done in the mornings or sometimes in the evenings, but getting that done, you have a different kind of energy. And you're right, you can achieve. I did my first box jumps, everybody, on Saturday, just saying. That's the first time. I've been building up to that for 2 years. And I was so thrilled with myself. And it's this, if you do something challenging, And it's great to do something challenging every single day. And then you recognize that you can push yourself beyond your boundaries, and you can really step up for the other people that you're working with, and you can
Yeah.
challenge other people to do their best as well. And so I think, from my perspective, getting fit and having children has taught me that and allowed me to sort of know that really there's no boundaries. I mean, there are boundaries, but there's no boundary in terms of where I can go. Although I was told having a cold shower every morning would achieve this for me, and I tried it a couple of times, and I'm sorry, but that one went out with not interested. So, but people do.
To just add to that, Philip, I think for me, the day that I realized that I can only be myself and I can only be be authentic, when I truly started to be authentic, that's when I really felt like I was unstoppable, because I don't have to pretend. I don't have to talk like I'm really educated. I am just who I am, and I don't apologize for that. And I'm very real with my team, and that's okay. I don't have to be this beacon of knowledge and hope all the time. I just have to show them that I'm a real person, and I don't have the answer. I'll get it for you, but my main goal is to make sure they succeed, and that's why I'm here.
That's amazing. That's that. And I wondered, is that something you think comes with age? Or because I think, this is about vulnerability in anything, but especially in leadership. And it's so powerful because it allows other people to be able to connect with you and to see they can be vulnerable. And big Brene Brown fan as well. But do you think that comes with age, or do you think that comes with experience, or do you think that some people just have that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. For me, it was definitely age. I've always innately been really insecure. And even if I look at my kids, not to bring it back to the kids, but my youngest he will be a CEO one day, because he just has this sense of self-worth beyond anything I've ever seen. And some of my other children, they're so capable, but they doubt themselves. So I think over time you can build that resilience and that understanding that you are who you are and you can't be anyone else. And the sooner you realize that, the faster you'll be able to be whatever it is you want to be. Like the amount of people that I'm interviewing right now, and you can see the authenticity and people who are really comfortable in their ways by asking various questions, and the ones that try to just give the answer they think you want to hear, you can see that, and that's where that authenticity, they're still working on that. And authenticity. Yeah. I'd rather somebody tell me about a massive failure that they had that was incredible, because showing that vulnerability and that honesty is so much more powerful than talking about all your big wins.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. That's what you just said there is so powerful. And I've just realized we've hit 12 o'clock, so I can't continue asking questions about it, but I'll just, Philip has just said, Wendy, the way you answered was the essence of the response. I suggest that your mindset about fitness, childbirth translates into your success and inspiration for the team. Congratulations. So thank you, Philip. Yeah. Bringing a tear to my eye now. Amazing. All right. So this has been a really powerful conversation. Thank you. And I think, your authenticity and being open to being vulnerable today, I'm really grateful for that, because I think it brings a lot to people. So thank you so much for joining us and having that conversation.
No, thank you for having me. And really appreciate it's nice to have a chat. Not sure how many people are interested in what I have to say, but
plenty, I assure you, plenty. So I'm just going to remove you from the stream now and just say my goodbyes, and just sort of share the link again for the membership. And I hope to see you in the membership. I'm sure I will. And hopefully I will be able to do some deep dives and get you involved in a couple of roundtables at some point as well. That would be amazing.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Thank you
so
much.
Bye.
See you. Thank you so much, everybody, for getting involved in the conversation. This has been great. I loved the essence of what Wendy brought today, and I hope you really enjoyed it too. I've got some other really interesting people coming on over the next few weeks. I have Matt Hanma coming on from I think Infoblocks. I should write these things down. And he's been really fantastic in building high performing teams, and I've got a lot of respect for his skill set and what he brings. So very excited to be having a conversation with him. And again, if you would like to get closer to some of the mentors that I have on here, if you would like to check out the membership, then I would love you to come in and have a look around at no cost. And then if you want to stay on board with that, we're going to have roundtables. We'll have different mentor sessions with some of the mentors. I will pop up in there and do some coaching work, which I've done already. So when you enter, you'll see that that's all there for you. And every conversation we have live is there with transcripts and notes. And some wonderful deep dive sessions, which get down to a lot more detail on specific topics that come up. So please come in and have a look. Let people know about this Thursday 11:30 slot if you think they would be interested. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Thank you so much. Thanks, Philip, on the mother front. All right, take care.